Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of UKBF Talks. Normally, you guys don't see me wearing these lovely headphones, but that's because today it's a virtual viewing and it's a virtual webinar, and I have the privilege of welcoming Emma and Maria today, who are experts as we speak on the topic of the importance of mentoring for small business owners. So, if you have any questions throughout this conversation, any questions throughout this discussion, go ahead, put it in the comments below. As many comments and as many questions as you have, and we're going to go ahead and get through those. So, how are you doing this morning, ladies?
Good, thank you.
Good, thank you. Yeah.
Ready to go?
Oh, yes.
Well, I think I asked you guys this question before, but I'm just going to ask it again. What did you guys have for breakfast this morning? I'll start with you, Emma.
I just had a slice of toast this morning, Jacob.
Slice of toast?
Yep.
What did you put in it?
Nothing, just straight
Nothing.
up. Just a bit of butter. That's it.
Bit of butter. Okay. And yourself?
I had some muesli, some nice nutty muesli.
Okay.
Great
That's
start today.
different. That's different. Maria, just want to give everybody an introduction into who you are. So, are you able to just I'm going to open the floor to you to just who are you?
Who am I? Okay. I am Maria, and my business is Four31 Digital. It is a digital marketing consultancy, and I also do a lot of mentoring, coaching, and training as part of that, working with ambitious entrepreneurs around the world these days, in actual fact, as well as around the UK, largely in the food and drink sector, helping them with their digital marketing to get the most out of it to achieve the goals for their particular businesses.
And how long have you been doing that for?
I've been doing that for about 6 years now. So I set my business up in 2017 and started out working with very small SMEs in my locality here in South Devon, and then gradually over time started expanding that to across the UK and today across the world, actually helping ambitious entrepreneurs with their challenges in digital marketing and helping them to achieve their business goals.
That sounds. I've got a few curveballs to throw your way, just to try and draw as much value, because I know that one thing that quite a few people struggle with is digital marketing and utilizing that effectively for their businesses. So hopefully I can ask you a few questions that will bring quite a bit of value to the people watching and listening today.
Yeah.
And how about yourself, Emma?
Thanks, Jacob. So I'm Emma Ellse. I'm a business marketing consultant, mentor, and trainer. I'm a vetted member of the Association of Business Mentors, and for the past 4 years, around my consulting, mentoring, and training, I've been a part-time senior lecturer in the business school at the University of Lincoln. I'm an experienced and qualified marketeer, and I, like Maria, specialise in digital marketing. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Data Marketing, a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Marketing, and I'm a qualified higher education program developer and trainer, and a fellow of advanced HE as well. So, yeah, more fellowships than Lord of the Rings. That's what my husband says.
Wow, that's a good one. I like that. So we're going to go straight into it by asking the question, what is a mentor? What does a mentor do? And how does somebody come across a mentor and know that the person I'm speaking to potentially could be a mentor? But we'll start with the first one. What is a mentor? Maria?
So a mentor really is an independent sounding board, someone external to your business who can provide an objective yet supportive listening ear. So often when I'm speaking to people that I'm mentoring, they'll tell me that literally we're talking about things that they haven't actually had the chance to speak to anybody else about. They can't talk to people in their own businesses because as the leader of a business, it just wouldn't be appropriate. They're not necessarily things they can talk about with their family. So it's really nice to be in that position to provide that objective listening ear to somebody. A cheerleader, an independent cheerleader, a critical friend, somebody who is on your side, but somebody equally who can provide adequate challenge, to pull out some tricky things maybe that are not even being said in the conversation. Also somebody that can be inspiring to you. So somebody who perhaps is further ahead in your particular sector or your particular space and can actually inspire you to go forward with your particular goals. And it's also someone that you've got a rapport with, someone that gets your business, and also someone that you can trust to be honest with you.
Yeah. I guess I'm going to bounce that over to you. Hopefully Maria's not taking all your answers there, Emma. But to you, what is a mentor to you?
Well, I think Maria gave a really comprehensive answer to that, which I fully agree with. A mentor is a sounding board, somebody who should be able to give you that objective opinion, but also somebody who naturally wants to offer help and guidance and support. Somebody who is empathetic by nature. I think that's an essential quality of a mentor. They must be able to be empathetic. Somebody who's perhaps got the practical experience so that they can share those experiences with you and help you to learn and grow through their own shared experiences. And somebody who's really keen to help support and develop and facilitate learning and development in another person.
Yeah. So those are great answers that you guys have given. So I guess off the back of what you just said, Emma, how did you become a mentor? How did you know the stage for you to now become that sounding board and that person?
Do you know what, Jacob? I think it's something that's always been a natural part of my working life. And it started really early on in my career. So when I was in my 20s, in fact, when I was 20, I ended up being the manager of a telemarketing room, and we had between 30 and 40 staff. And at that time, I had my own experience of a mentor who was my mentor throughout the initial stages of my career, and is now one of my very best friends. And I think through his mentoring of me, it was then very natural for me to mentor others. And we often find that with mentors, that mentors are people who have themselves been mentored. And so it kind of stuck with me throughout my career as an early young manager, but then throughout my career in marketing and digital marketing, so working my way up through the ranks into the senior positions in agencies and in businesses. And when I had teams of people, I think my natural leadership style was very much one of being an authentic, empathetic leader. And I think that led naturally to me just mentoring people without me really knowing officially what it was I was doing. It's just something that came very natural to me.
Yeah.
I think when I decided I wanted to officially be a mentor, and I've been mentoring now for, since about 2016. So I started my own business in 2016. And I think it got to a point where I'd reached the highest levels in my career. I'd held really senior positions. I'd had a really exciting career in marketing, and specifically digital marketing. And I was enthusiastic to help and support others at the sort of start of their careers. And then following that, I ran a number of businesses. I set up my own couple of businesses, and I learned a lot through running those businesses. And that led me to want to help and support other people do the same.
Yeah. And at what stage does somebody? So are you saying that from an early age in your career in setting up businesses, and even before setting up businesses, in that managerial role, you knew that there was something in you to become that mentor. Is that what you're basically saying?
Yeah, absolutely, Jacob. I think I've always kind of naturally just taken people under my wing. I've wanted to see other people thrive and succeed. And I've wanted to see other people do well. It's something that's just naturally ingrained in me, helping and supporting other people and helping them achieve what they want to achieve. And that's been something that's always been with me.
Yeah. And same question to yourself, Maria. How did you become a mentor?
I think it's really interesting what Emma said there. I mean, I think likewise, I've been mentoring before I even understood what the term even meant. I think from being in, corporate roles and encouraging and supporting younger colleagues, I've working with students at my former university, and then moving into just working with people who I've met at networking and so on. I think, it's almost just been there. It's been something natural to do, not necessarily describe it as being mentoring, but actually just having a supporting conversation. And I think that's where it started, and it was just something that I really, really enjoyed. Just finding out about people's businesses and just listening to what people have been saying about them and the challenges that they're facing, and then maybe encouraging them through questioning to think a little bit more outside the box with things and to resolve their own problems. And I've been doing that now since about 12 years, I think, with one thing or another that I've done, more formal schemes more recently, such as the Help to Grow program. But ultimately, it's about being a good listener, I think, and really getting under the skin of what people are trying to say and trying to help them as much as you can, really, by just reflecting back to them what they are actually saying, and almost get them to solve their own problems and have those light bulb moments.
Yeah.
So it's been mentoring before mentoring was something that I even really knew existed. Yes.
Yeah. So what are the benefits of having a business mentor? And I guess I'm going to ask these questions from particular scenarios. For someone starting up in business, someone, I've got my business plan. I have got a bit of money from what I've saved. I've got some money from a bank loan. What are the benefits for me having a mentor at that stage of starting up? Maria.
I think having a mentor when you're just starting up, it's really useful to have somebody who is maybe a few years ahead of you in business, who's done what you're doing a few years back and has learned the hard way what works. And I think it also can be helpful to have somebody in your space, potentially to bounce ideas off as well. I think it's never too early to have a mentor. I think that no matter how early you are in your business, it can be helpful to have somebody accessible to you who is your cheerleader, as I say, and to bounce ideas off. So I think almost as soon as you are starting to think about setting your business up, seek out people either through schemes such as Help to Grow or people in your own professional network that you think, actually, I get on really well with this person. They're a few years ahead of me. I think I could actually benefit from having conversations with them, maybe on a monthly basis or so, to just chat through things, to have that sounding board, and to just get a bit of a sense check on how things are going. Yeah, I think it's probably never too early to actually think about having a mentor.
Yeah. How about, so that's someone starting up in business. How about somebody who is at the mid stage or a couple of years into running a business? What are the benefits of having a mentor at that stage? And I think I'll probably ask Emma that question.
Yeah, I think, again, having that sounding board, somebody external to your organisation that you can ask for advice and support. Often it's difficult, especially for senior leaders within organisations, to talk through the challenges that they're facing within their business. And they don't want to sometimes bring that to the people within their business. So to have somebody who's got an objective external view on things really helps. So I think sort of at that midpoint in the business, having somebody who's been through business growth, knows what's important for business growth, somebody who can be at the external sounding board, somebody that's, I guess, been through the situation that the business owner is currently in and can support them with their experience, and somebody who can hold them accountable as well. So often when you're running a business and you've got it all set up, there's lots of things that you're trying to get involved in. Somebody who can support that business owner in knowing what they should be involved in, what they shouldn't be involved in, keeping them on track, holding them to account, helping them create their plans for growth. And I guess as well, one of the key things is giving them an opportunity to self-reflect. So busy business owners don't often get that opportunity to self-reflect. And I think that's really important for growth.
Yeah, yeah. I guess my next question is, as a mentor, when you find somebody at the different stages of business, whether it's starting up, whether it's been running for a couple of years, whether it's at the stage of about to do an exit of whatever size it may be, what are the responsibilities that a mentor plays in the life of a business owner? Maria.
So a mentor's responsibility really is keeping that business owner to account, really. It's about ensuring that that business owner takes responsibility for their own progress. Once goals have been clarified with a mentor and actions have been agreed on what that business owner is going to do before the next session, then it's about really making sure that the owner is committed to taking that action for the next session. It's not for the mentor to actually be doing the work themselves. It's more about that check, that accountability, that someone looking over your shoulder and checking, have you done this? You've said to me you're going to do this. Are you actually going to go on and do it? So that's really the responsibility of the mentor.
Yeah. And I'll bounce that question over to you as well, Emma.
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree with what Maria's just said, and echo that too. It is about accountability, but also about pointing out opportunities. I think that's a key area for a mentor, to be pointing out opportunities as well as pitfalls. So using their own experience to highlight any potential pitfalls. It's also the responsibility of the mentor to understand and recognise, I think, what motivates the mentee. And to guide and act in a way that supports that motivation and keeps them motivated.
Yeah. If I was somebody if I was that mentee, what sort of questions should I be asking you as a mentor when we first meet up, when we're a couple of years in? What are the sort of things that need to be coming out of my mouth to you for you to know that I'm going on the right level, or I'm going somewhere, but that my business is going in the direction that you think it should? Maria.
I think it would be things about, where you see yourself being against your goals that you yourself have set for your business. I think that if you are talking about you haven't achieved the goals that you set yourself for a year, for instance, or for 6 months or something like that, and you feel as though you're not making progress, then that will be the opportunity for the mentor to step in and say, why do you think that might be? To be opening up some open questions about, why you think you're not making the progress that you might want to make, and trying to explore a little bit more why you feel that you might not be getting to where you want to be. It's got to be led by the mentee at the end of the day, depending on what their goals are. So I think those would be the kind of leading questions from the mentee to the mentor that I would see as being my opener to then start delving into. So what are these blocks for you? What might be going on there? What do you think you can do next to help to take your business forward? That might be an example of what might be going on there. And that can be happening, yes, at any time in the early stages of a business, or when somebody is further in, or even looking to exit. It's all about, how does the mentee feel against the goals that they've set themselves and what they're trying to achieve there, really.
And what's your take on that question as well, Emma?
Yeah, I think one of the main questions that the mentee should be asking the mentor is around their experience. And I think they really can learn a lot through the shared experience of the mentor. But then, just same as what Maria said, really, it's the mentor that asks the questions, and that's what really makes a good mentor, is being able to ask those probing questions of the mentee. So perhaps any question that the mentee comes to you with might be met with a question back to them, so that you can help them to understand find the answers themselves.
And I'm starting up in business. How do I find a mentor? Where do I find this person that is going to hold my hand and keep me accountable and be a sounding board? How do I find people like you?
My goodness. So there are lots of ways you can find a mentor. I mean, if you want to, if you don't have the budget for one, then there are often schemes through your local Chamber of Commerce, your local enterprise partnership. There are always schemes like that. And right now, of course, as we know, because we're part of it, there is the government's Help to Grow scheme, which is all about supporting entrepreneurs who want to grow their business. So there are lots out there. Also, ask around in your networks. Maybe people have already had great mentors that they've had experience of and be willing to recommend people to you. So there are commercial services such as, what Emma and I run as part of our businesses too, and look at tools like LinkedIn. You can search out for your sector, for the expertise you're looking for your region. There are lots of ways you can actually access mentors these days. Yeah. Lots of people willing to do it.
Anything you'd like to add to that, Emma? Any other routes or ways?
Yeah, sure. I think as well as that, there's always the Association of Business Mentors. We have a huge number of mentors who are many of them willing to work as a volunteer. Most of them work on a paid model, but we do also take volunteer mentorships from time to time. It's a mutually beneficial situation. And Maria and myself are both volunteering at the moment on the government's Help to Grow programme, as Maria said. So yeah, you could always have a look on the Association of Business Mentors.
Yeah, and for those that may be listening as well, UK Business Forums, it's a place where there are people who have been through different levels and tiers of business and have a lot of experience behind them. So things like forums and online communities are also great places where people can seek the mentorship that they're looking for as well. So I'm setting up a business and I'm looking for a mentor. Emma, do I have to give shares of my company to you for you to become a mentor?
No, not at all, Jacob. It's not a stipulation at all. You might find a mentor that you click with, that you think, wow, this person would be an ideal business partner, and you may make an arrangement between the two of you if it's mutually desirable and beneficial. But it certainly isn't a stipulation at all, Jacob.
Okay. Oh, that's so did you hear that, guys? You don't have to give away shares unless there's actually a benefit of having that person brings a lot of other value. Then yeah. So Maria, next question is for you. What size or what age must a business be before they potentially seek mentorship?
I don't think there's any limit to how old or what size a business should be before the business owner decides to seek a mentor, to be honest with you, Jacob. I think that there's no such thing as too early or too young. I mean, I think that in many ways, the sooner a mentor is actually involved, the better, to actually give that business owner the sounding board that they will undoubtedly need as soon as they get going with their business. If they are, a sole trader, for instance, they're working on their own, then I think that it's great for that business owner to have somebody that they can talk to reflect of, to discuss things in a safe space when they perhaps don't have anybody else yet to do that role for them. So I think there's no such thing as too young or too early. Just as I think in many ways in life, there's no such thing as too young or too early in life to have a mentor to guide you through your career too. I'm a strong advocate in that as well.
Yeah, I've well, just to add to what you've said, I've heard of some scenarios where people have come into some spaces with an idea or a thought in mind of what is possible, and they've now been turned. They were seeking either validation or seeking for someone to hold their hand to probably make that thing happen, and they've been kind of bounced away. In that case, does that mean that the mentee or the person seeking a mentor needs to, what do they need to bring, or what do they need to come with, or what already needs to be in place before they now look for a mentor? And I'll probably go to you with that one, Emma.
I think before looking for a mentor, you should have a good idea of your business. So if we're talking about somebody who's just starting out in business, I think they should have a good idea of what that business is all about, who their target audience is, what products or services they're selling, and what problems they solve with those products or services. So they should have a good grounding. So like I say, if we're thinking about somebody who's just starting up their business, possibly a business plan. It doesn't need to be War and Peace. A one-page business plan is absolutely fine. An idea of the target audience, an idea of the pain points of that target audience, the problem that you solve with your product or service, things like how your business is going to operate, what sort of business it is. Are you selling products? Are you selling services? If you're selling products, how are you selling those products? Where are you getting them from? So they should have done their background, I would say, to start with, and have a good solid idea of their business to start with, that they can then take to the mentor to help them bring that into fruition.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. So moving on to the next question, what are the things that business owners need to be aware of before they seek mentorship? So what do they need to be careful with before they approach a mentor? Maria?
I think they probably need to be clear to a certain extent on what they want from that mentor. I mean, as we've been saying, there's an awful lot of people out there doing mentoring with different backgrounds, different experience, and so on. So I think that the business owner needs to be clear on what they want the mentor to add to them value-wise. Is it that very broad brush experience at a very high level? Is it perhaps more micro that they are looking for, perhaps specific sector or technical knowledge? I think that is really important to be clear on. And then all of that you can feed into a chemistry call, which is what Emma and I would recommend when we first start talking to a mentee. Is there actually a good rapport between us? Can we actually work together?
Yeah.
Do we get each other?
Yeah.
I think the clearer on what the mentee is looking for, the better really that call will go when they are trying to choose a mentor.
Yeah. And I'll bounce that question over to you as well, Emma.
Yeah, well, I agree with everything Maria said, but there's a couple of other things as well. I think when you're looking for a mentor, it's sadly an unregulated industry. And so it's really important that you look for somebody who has the sort of credentials to be a mentor. Anybody, unfortunately, can set up in business and call themselves a mentor. So you need to be looking for somebody who clearly has the experience and the knowledge that you're looking for, perhaps even some qualifications in the area that you're looking for support in, to support your business. Somebody who comes with perhaps a lot of recommendations. So have a look on their LinkedIn, have a look at their recommendations, see if they've worked with other mentors, mentees in the past, and what those mentees have said about them. They should be able to put you in touch with a mentee that they've worked with, and that mentee should be able to speak to you and vouch for them. And perhaps you'd be looking for somebody who is a member of a professional organisation like the Association of Business Mentors. All of the members of the Association of Business Mentors are fully vetted, so you know that they have that almost like that stamp of approval from the Association of Business Mentors. And perhaps they might also maybe have a qualification in mentoring and coaching as well. So I think there's a lot of things to look out for in a mentor.
Yeah, I think you just made some really good points there, both of you, especially when it comes to because you tend to see social media. You're probably once a week you probably see somebody advertising as a business coach or a business advisor or a mentor, and they don't necessarily, like you said, anybody can set up a website and put their own testimonials on there and charge a high ticket price for to coach somebody or to give their time to somebody. So I guess what you just mentioned there about making sure that the person maybe has some qualifications or you have some recommendations about that particular person, because otherwise there's a possibility that your time will be wasted, your finance or your resource will be wasted as well. And I think, these are things that people really, really need to pay attention to when they're looking for a mentor. And like you said, because it's not like a regulated field or in some scenarios, then there has to be real due diligence done. And as Maria was saying, that chemistry as well is really, really important, because once you get to the stage of, okay, this person may know what they're talking about, but do we work well together? Does that person actually potentially care about me as well? My well-being, different things like that. So the chemistry, the due diligence of the person, these are things that people starting up in business or people looking for mentors need to definitely be aware of. So no, those are really, really good points. Really, really good points. So I can tick that off now. So what makes an effective mentor? What makes a good mentor? Emma?
I think, Jacob, as I said earlier, one of the key things for me is somebody who's able to empathise. If you're not able to put yourself in the shoes of your mentee and see things from their perspective, empathise with their current situation, you can't give the support that they're needing. So definitely the ability to be empathetic. A good mentor ought to have the desire to give back. They should be at a stage in their career where they'll get fulfillment from giving back to somebody else at the start of their career. They definitely need the ability to listen. Maria mentioned this earlier on. Listening is a really integral part of being a mentor, and that, having skills in active listening to understand as opposed to just listening to respond. So being able to listen effectively. The mentor should be well networked as well. So you should be able to draw on a community to support you. I know myself as a member of the ABM, we have a big community of mentors. So if there's something that comes up that we can't personally help with, there should be people that we can put our mentee in touch with to help them and support them in various areas. So a good mentor should be well networked. And I think a strong desire to help.
Yeah. Just whilst you were just speaking there about a good mentor is someone that should bring value. I just remember Richard Osborne, the founder of UK Business Forums, UKBF, on his latest episode on his podcast called Drive, he spoke to Gary Turner, who was the co-founder of Zero in the UK. He grew it from a 57k company to 150 million pound company, which it is today. And one of the things that Gary said in the podcast was that what he's doing now is he's literally giving back and speaking to smaller business owners or entrepreneurs, because he wants to still be in that space of giving back and giving value. Because imagine someone who's done that, the amount of value, the amount of experience that they have to give to people. So a good mentor is somebody who has a bank of resource value to draw upon and deposit at any given moment. So that is a really, really good point that you just made there, Emma. Is there anything that you'd
Absolutely.
add to that, Maria? Oh, sorry, Emma, you were about to.
Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. I was
jab.
just saying it. Just reflecting back on what you said, it really does bring a good sense of fulfillment to a mentor to see a mentee achieve. It's almost like I sometimes say I sort of selfishly want to help my mentees, and I mean selfishly, because it brings me such a huge amount of satisfaction and fulfillment when I see the mentees succeed.
Yeah, no, I can definitely understand that. I can definitely understand that. Anything that you would like to add to that, Maria?
I mean, I would just agree with what Emma said, really. I mean, I always consider myself to be professionally curious. I just love hearing about small businesses and their challenges and seeing the opportunities to potentially help them. So, you know, I grab any opportunity I can really to do that. I just really, really enjoy that aspect of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And for yourselves as mentor, when somebody comes to you saying that I need some guidance, I need some help, do you have a particular time frame in mind of how long you anticipate to be a mentor for that person with?
No, not really, because this has to be driven by the mentee, and only they know really how long they're going to need us for. I mean, it's down to them to say, actually, you know, I've been working with you for 6 weeks, 6 months, and I feel I've done everything I can with you, and that's perfectly fine. It has to be driven by them. It's not for us to dictate to them how long they might want to work with us, and they might find that they want to go to another mentor who perhaps has got a skill set in a different area. So it's all about us just being on that journey with the mentee and taking them as far as we can in their eyes, and then they decide what they want to do next. That's really how it works. It's driven by them.
It's driven by them. Okay. Okay. And even when it comes to at the stage where some mentees may not have the capacity to maybe pay a certain retainer or a certain fee, as a mentor, this is a question for maybe you've experienced something like this. As a mentor, have you ever had that where maybe somebody wasn't able to cover a certain fee, but because of how the chemistry is working or your connection with that person, where you've probably gone above and beyond to still assist and help the person?
I think. Sorry. Oh, do you want to go, Emma?
Yeah, it's an open floor. It's an open floor.
I mean, I think I find for me as a mentor, I could just run and run with that one, because I get so passionate about the businesses that I work with that I could always go above and beyond, and frequently do. You know, I think that if you are passionate about mentoring and the growth of businesses and what they're trying to achieve, then it's really, really easy to actually go above and beyond and to make concessions if necessary, because you can see that actually there is so much potential there for a business, and you can really see the value that you can add. So yeah, absolutely, I'd say that is a distinct possibility. Yes.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's really good. And Emma?
Yeah, I agree with Maria. And I think in some situations, you get so enthusiastic and so passionate about the business. You want to help, you want to support. And having a mentee is, it's mutually beneficial. It's not just one-sided. It is mutually beneficial. So as mentors, we grow, we learn, we learn just as much from our mentees as the mentees learn from us. So we do get a lot from it ourselves.
Yeah. What can you elaborate on that? What does a mentor learn from a mentee?
Oh, I mean, loads. I mean, depending on, I've worked with all kinds of mentees in all kinds of industries. So for me now, my knowledge of different industries, whether it's business to consumer, whether it's, a service industry or products, or, I learn so much about different industries. I learn about the challenges in different industries. I learn about the challenges of different leaders at different stages of their businesses. I get sort of like finger on a pulse as to what's going on in the industry. So we're learning all the time. We also learn about ourselves. So every time we've got a new mentor, a new mentee, we reflect. So after every mentoring session as a mentor, we reflect on that session, and it helps us to grow and develop as mentors.
Yeah, we've got a comment here on LinkedIn, and it was in regards to when I asked about what should a mentee be ready with before they seek a mentor, and I think comment from Andrew Ellis said, "Skill and will are vital, alongside a willing individual. As the Chinese said 1,000 years ago, when a student is ready, the teacher appears." So that's
Absolutely.
that's really
Lovely.
cool.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. And I think that's absolutely spot on. There's got to be that willingness. There's no good having, saying you want a mentor if you're not willing to put the work in, because a mentor will make you work. They will have expectations, and you'll set goals with that mentor, and they will expect you to be working towards it. So you've got to have the will to want to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So the next question that I have, I don't want this to sound like a bit of a downer, but I have to ask the question: what are the disadvantages of having a mentor? And I'll come to you first, Maria.
I think the downside simply is that the mentee has got to do the work. I mean, if they're taking somebody on to mentor them and they are setting goals with them, goals that are important to them to grow their own business, then they're going to have to actually do the legwork on that. It's not for the mentor to actually do that. It's for the mentor to keep them accountable. So they need to go into this with their eyes open and know that actually they're going to have to do something at the end of it, or the relationship is just not going to work. As I say, it's not for the mentor to do the work. It's for the mentee to do the work. But ideally, this should be work they are pleased to do once it's been agreed on, because it's taken their business forward. And if it's not taking their business forward, then there's no point in setting those goals.
Yeah. And anything that you'd like to add to that as well, Emma?
No, I think Maria's hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. I can't think of any disadvantages of having a mentor other than, like Maria says, the fact that we'll make you work. So you've got to be prepared to do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a mentor, from your past experiences, when you have noticed a mentee not put the work in, or the level of commitment needed to take them from where they are to where they want to be, how would you as a mentor communicate with that person?
I think you would just be saying to them, have you set the right goals for yourself here, really? If you don't feel that actually you are able or willing to do the work to achieve those goals based on what you've discussed and agreed with your mentor, then are they the right goals for you, perhaps? And there might be some reflection needed on the business owner's part as to whether actually what they've set themselves to do is really, really what they actually want to achieve. I think that maybe is where the discussion would end up going, because this is, we are there for them, and if they are unable to do the work in between our sessions, then is that relationship really taking them where they want to go, really?
Yeah. Anything else that you want to add to that, Emma?
Yeah, I think I agree with what Maria said, and I think there's also the question around motivation as well. I think as a mentor, I would be asking what their motivation is, and just helping them to reflect and drill down on what they really want to achieve and where they want their business to be. Maybe we look at some sort of vision of the future of where they see themselves and what's going to motivate them to get there, and perhaps it's worth at that point checking back in on the goals, as Maria said, and what they have been assuming their motivation is, and just to recheck if that motivation is aligned.
Yeah. And so as a mentor, if I'm not putting the work in, if I'm not working hard, if I'm not showing commitment, do you as a mentor have a timeline or a set amount of time, like a probation period, basically, where you're like, okay, it's not working, I'm breaking from this? Are those things that mentors should normally bring to the table? Is that something that a mentee should also consider as well from their side?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can swerve this a little bit if right at the very beginning you talk about things like motivation, and you spend a bit of time in those chemistry sessions. As Maria says, every good mentor should be willing to run those chemistry sessions to really find out what type of person the mentee is, and if they have got that willingness, if they have got the motivation. And so you can often tell right from the off, Jacob, whether or not that mentee will be willing to go through with the journey with you. So you can usually head that off fairly early on.
Yeah. So moving on to the next question. At what stage can I say, or can someone say, I no longer need a mentor? Maria?
I'd say anytime. If the mentee feels that the relationship is not adding value to their business, then they can say at any time they no longer want to continue it. It's not worthwhile for either side to continue if the mentee's not getting anything out of it, really. So I would say that it's any time they can do that. Yeah.
Emma?
Yeah, and I agree. It might also be the case that the mentee no longer needs you, that they're thriving, and that for us as mentors is wonderful. So if the mentee says, I no longer need you, I know exactly what I'm doing, I feel confident, I know where I'm going, I've got the skills and I've got the capabilities and I've got my goals and my plan and I feel happy with everything. Sometimes they get to that point where they don't need you any longer, and that's wonderful.
And as a mentor, when you see a mentee come to you and they say to you that I've got this figured out, I have got to the goals that we initially set, do you encourage them to maybe keep in touch on a consistent basis, or 2 times a week, or something like that? Or do they come back to you as and when? What sort of thing, conversations or dialogue do you have at that stage?
Definitely, Jacob. Oh, sorry, Maria.
Sorry, no, it's fine.
Definitely, we keep in touch.
Agree. Yeah. You just want to keep in touch, even informally, just to keep an eye on their progress. But it's very rewarding when somebody says to you, I've gone as far as I can, I now want to do it on my own, or potentially move on to another mentor. That is absolutely great. But yeah, it's absolutely brilliant to just keep in touch informally and to just keep an eye on what they're up to. It's lovely, really lovely.
Yeah. Moving on to the next question, we're getting closer to the end now. What value can a mentor add to a business or a business owner directly? Maria?
So I think it's, as we were saying, it's about having that safe space where a business owner can bring things up that they can't perhaps talk to anybody else inside the business, or in a very small business with their family. It's that objective external resource that they can access to brainstorm, to talk through goals, to talk through problems that might be worrying them. It's their time to be working on their business rather than in their business, and that can add a lot of value in my experience.
Emma?
Yeah, I think adding to that, I think a mentor can help the mentee to find the right direction within their business. So sometimes that can help a business owner save time and money, which might otherwise be wasted on experimentation and trying things out. With a good mentor who can offer you some shared experiences, and perhaps highlighting the pitfalls that they themselves have been through, it can help in the long run to save the business owner time and money from making, I guess, sometimes some of the same mistakes that the mentor made throughout their career.
Yeah, I guess that the point you just made there about the pitfalls and what the person doesn't need to go through. That's always something that I've heard and I've always resonated with, because why would somebody want to, if let's say a business owner starting up in a tech company in a similar field, there's a potential of having a mentor who's gone through the same system, gone through the same channels of investment, but that person lost, let's say, £100,000, and they've got the scratches and the scars to show it, but now they're on the other side having turned over millions. Is that not somebody that you want to pick their brains? So yeah, having somebody who's gone through it so that you don't, is like one of the biggest things and the biggest draws of value that a mentor can bring to the table, that I definitely would encourage anybody to consider as well. What role may having a business community play in the journey of a business owner? Emma?
Yeah, I think similarly to what we've said before, having that community of support around you, having a community of people who are perhaps going through similar challenges to you is massively beneficial. You've got an external sounding board, or a community of people who are there to help and support and offer advice and shared experience. And I think that's absolutely invaluable to business owners. Also having a community of people that might challenge your thinking, challenge your assumptions, and an opportunity to network and share business.
Anything you want to add to that, Emma? Maria?
Yeah, no, I would absolutely agree with what Emma said. I think that being in that bigger community, you get to understand that, you're not alone. The problems you're going through potentially are not unique to you. I had a mentee say this to me recently, that he hadn't realized that literally everybody is going through the same problems that he is at the moment. And I think that too, you get exposure to new ideas, to new technology, to new ways of doing things that you perhaps may not have had time to consider because you've been too focused on your own business. So again, being part of that bigger community allows you time and space to be working on your business as well as in the business, and getting a new perspective on how you can do things.
Yeah, just off the point you just made there, Maria. On UK business forums, we've have some people who come in there shouting loud and proud about their business or the new plans, and at times they're looking for, like I said before, validation. Whoopee, amazing, great, but there's some people on there who are, we call them the veterans, and these people have seen it, they've done it, they've tasted it, they've held it, and basically nothing phases them, nothing new that they keep it real. They give, okay, this is not probably going to work. This potentially may work if you go that direction. Have you considered this? Have you considered that? And that community element keeps it real with you. There are people there who have done that. There are people there who have been through that process, and at times the community, or having a community, is important, to not give you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear.
Yes. Yeah.
Because what you need to hear will save you a lot of time. It will
Mm.
save you a lot of money, because, like I said, they've been there, they've done that, they've got the badges, got the stickers, and I
Scars.
guess people got the scars, exactly. And I guess, especially people coming up in business, one thing that they need to think about is that their idea that you have, the business that you have, in your head, it may be the greatest thing ever, but to somebody else, it's not. So the perspective that they have on it is not coming from a brutal perspective. It's coming from a real perspective. It's coming from a perspective of, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but this is what I think you need to consider. And as a mentee, or as somebody who needs community around them, you need to be open to feedback. You need to be receptive to feedback, especially if it's going to help to take what you're doing a couple of notches ahead of where you currently are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, I'm going to ask each of you this, so I hope nobody copies one another. I'll start with you, Emma. What are what are the top 3 bits of advice you would give to someone starting up in business? The top 3 bits of advice that you would give to someone starting up in business.
I think the first thing I'd say is make sure you've got a good accountant.
Why'd you say that? Why'd you say that?
Well, you know, I've been through a few accountants when I first started my businesses. I think I went through about 4 or maybe 5 different accountants. I just wasn't getting the help, the support, and the advice that I needed from my accountant. And then I eventually found an accountant who specialised in startup businesses, and she literally held my hand through setting up and starting the business, but not just that, all the tech and helping me get my sort of accounting tech stack set up. And she's on hand whenever I need her, and always has been, actually, throughout the time that I've been with her. But especially when I first started up, if I had any questions or queries or wasn't sure about something, she was right there the whole time. So I think having a good accountant who specializes in new startup businesses, or can, you know, is enthusiastic about supporting new startup businesses, is essential. My second thing is a plan, and we've already talked about this, but having a plan, even if it's a fairly sort of rudimental plan, a 1-page business plan is enough. But just having thought through the different areas of the business, the sort of operating model of the business, any policies, any processes, the people within the business, the value propositions, the target audience, the pains and the gains of your target audience, and how your product or service solves a problem. Having all of that kind of written down somewhere, so you've got that plan, that's essential. And so having the plan, and I think finally, just that is really key, knowing how your product or service solves a problem. So an accountant, a plan, and really understanding your value proposition and your product or service and what problem it solves.
Maria?
I think I'd agree with everything that Emma said. I think defining your goals, being really clear on what problem your product or service solves for your target audience is really, really important, because so much else about what you do in your business depends on that, getting that clear, and drives all the decisions that you make from that point in time. I think make sure you've got a good support system around you. So whether that is external mentors, whether that is your family, keep communicating what it is that you're trying to achieve, and make sure that you've got cheerleaders out there to keep you going when times get tough. And I think thirdly, make sure that you are protecting your own well-being and mental health. It's not easy out there being an entrepreneur. especially in the current climate. So make sure that you've got the resources in place to protect yourself and to keep yourself going in the more challenging times. And remember why you're doing what you're doing ultimately. That's really important.
Yeah. I guess the next question is on a similar vein. What are the top 3 bits of advice you would give to someone looking to scale their business? And I'll start with you this time, Maria.
I mean, I think that I probably wouldn't say anything too different, to be honest with you. I think you would just take it up a level. I think that as you get bigger, you want to get clearer perhaps on your exit plan, what that's going to look like for you, so that now your goals are more about moving towards that than necessarily growing the business. I think that probably looking for the outside support is going to be even more important for you. So make sure that you've got the right advisors in place, you've got the right access to information and knowledge and experience that you need to take you through to that next stage. And ultimately, remember what's important to you. Keep that at the front of what you're doing as well, while you're doing what you're doing.
Anything you'd add to that, Emma?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Maria said. I think I'd add recruitment. I think I'd add understanding and knowing how to attract and retain the top talent. If you're trying to scale your business, then being able to retain the top talent in the industry is something that's been really challenging, especially for a lot of my clients and mentees over the past few years. So understanding how to attract and retain the top talent is key. I think if you're trying to scale your business, you need to focus on what I call the 3 Ps, and that's your people, your processes, and your platforms. So, you know, your systems and your tech. So you need to make sure you have all of those things in place, ready to scale before you scale. And I think knowing when to say no. When I first started an agency, I took all clients and all jobs and did absolutely everything for everyone. And it got to a point where, as we grew, and I'm sure Maria's laughing, she'll know this, running her agency, as we grew, we just couldn't sustain that any longer. And so we had to really own our niche and focus in and say no to some things. So those are my top 3 for scaling a business. The 3 Ps, attracting and retaining the top talent and being able to say no.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really insightful. And my last question is: if I'm looking for a mentor, should I look for someone who is a jack of all trades, or someone who specializes and is focused on the particular area or the particular field of business that I'm operating in? I'll come to you first, Maria.
So I think, again, it comes back to your goals with taking on a mentor, as to whether you will benefit from somebody who has got that experience a few years ahead of you in your sector, or whether you are looking for more specific, almost technical advice. And, you know, I've worked with both those who want each of those. So I think it comes back to the mentee being really clear on what they want to get out of the relationship, to be honest. And then they can look for that experience or knowledge in the mentor. I think it's got to be driven by the mentee as to what they're looking for specifically.
Yeah, I'll bounce that question over to you as well, Emma.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I think it does come down to the goals and what the mentee wants to achieve. I also think a lot of the time with mentees, it's about working on their confidence and their own sort of competency skills. So if you have got somebody who's a sort of a mentor who's a generalist, sometimes they can help in ways that you wouldn't have thought of. So if you've not got somebody who's got exact experience in your sector, that doesn't mean to say you can't learn from a mentor who will help you develop your competencies, your skills, and your confidence.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. I just want to thank you guys for your time this morning. Really, really insightful about the importance of having a mentor in your business. Like we spoke about the disadvantages, there weren't many or there weren't any at all. The only disadvantage is you've got to work hard, you've got to put the work in, and that's not a disadvantage if you're focused and you're committed. And also, um, looking for somebody who has expertise and somebody who's got a well of experience in that particular field and a network that you can also
Yeah.
really, really tap into. Those are really key points that really, really stood out to me. So I really want to thank you guys for your time this morning. If you guys watching and listening will have some information, we're going to put some information on the screen right now on how you can get in contact. Firstly, with Emma. Should pop up on the screen right now. There we go. That's Emma's LinkedIn, and we're also going to put Emma's email address as well. No email address, okay. And we're also going to put Maria's information there as well of how you get in contact with Maria as well. But just want to thank you guys once again for your time this morning. Any closing remarks for you guys, for anybody watching and listening today?
I'd like to say that I'm always happy to chat. So if anybody wants to get in touch, I'm on LinkedIn all the time. So that's the best way to get in touch with me, is to connect on LinkedIn and drop me a message. If anybody's got any questions about mentoring, I'm more than happy to chat. And just thank you for having us this morning, Jacob. It's been really enjoyable.
That's great. That's good to hear. Yourself, Maria?
I think I'd say the same as Emma, really. Yeah, happy to answer any questions at any time, really. Send an email, get in touch through LinkedIn. Always to have a chat, and yes, would highly recommend having a mentor to help your business. Yeah, and thank you for having us. Yes,
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. So we're just going to take both Maria and Emma out, if that's okay. So I will speak to you guys soon. Thank you guys this morning.
Bye.
Thank you guys for joining us today. Just want to encourage you to check out UK Business Forums. It's the largest online community of small and micro business owners in the UK. There are so many people in our community who have been there, done that, and continue to do it. And we just spoke about the importance of mentorship. UK Business Forum is a community full of people ready to give you the information and the insight that you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear, but what you need to hear to take what you're doing to another level. Tune into our podcasts, both Drive, which comes out every 2 weeks on Tuesdays on all major audio and streaming platforms, and also tune into Grow, which will be coming out on a fortnightly basis on Wednesday, starting from the 25th of January 2023, for all those who are listening and watching. So have a great day, guys, and we will see you soon on our next webinar.